The Silver Arrows have locked out the front row once again, with Verstappen taking pole at Albert Park, although the gaps were very small, just a tenth separating the top 6 at the end of the session. Senior Red Bull driver Pierre Gasly was best of the rest in 3rd position and set an identical time to Wehrlein, but his teammate aarava languished in P6, with Van Dorn pipping Vettel to P4 by just 1,000th of a second. The second McLaren of Hamilton went 7th fastest, 3 positions shy of his teammate, with a similar situation at Ferrari as Daniel Ricciardo brings up the rear of the top 4 teams in P8. Rounding out the top 10 is the Toro Rosso and Renault drivers, with Giovinazzi and Magnussen on row 5 and Hülkenberg and Sainz on row 6, with free choice of compound for the Australian Grand Prix.
What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 MyDriver Career Mode, episode number 14 today, the second last race of this season, season 4 of MyDriver for the Australian Grand Prix. And guys, thank you so much, as always, for the support, and especially for the last 3 episodes. I said it last episode, and I'll say it again, the support has just been crazy. It just spiked out of nowhere for the last 3 episodes, and it's been absolutely unbelievable. So, thank you guys so much. It's been crazy to see just the number of awesome comments, the number of likes on the last 3 episodes. It's blown my mind. It's just come out of nowhere, so surprising, and I can't thank you guys enough. So, thank you so much for the continued support, and it's great to know that some of you guys are really, really invested in this season. And we've got only 2 races left, and this one is pretty crucial because Vettel leads the way. I'm in 2nd in the championship, so whoever, comes out on top between us 2 ahead of each other on the track will have the lead going into the final race, depending on the points. Vettel could still end up being in 1st place in the championship, even if I do finish ahead of him, if we both finish quite low, but we'll have to see about that. But let's get on to it. Let's get onto the starting grid. I'll hand it over to Justin to take you through that.
Taking a look now at the starting grid for today's Australian Grand Prix. It is once again Max Verstappen on pole, and with his teammate alongside him as the Mercedes boys lock out that front row, but only narrowly, very close in the qualifying session, just a tenth separating the top 6. Pierre Gasly going to be very happy with that 3rd place position ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn. Pierre needing to score as many points here to stay in the title fight as he possibly can for this penultimate round. Sebastian Vettel qualifying in 5th position alongside aarava in the other Red Bull. Then comes Lewis Hamilton in the other McLaren. He's alongside Daniel Ricciardo on that 4th row of the grid. Rounding out the top 10 is Antonio Giovinazzi for the Toro Rosso team. He'll be joined on that row by Kevin Magnussen in the Renault. Magnussen's teammate Nico Hülkenberg will be starting just behind him, with Giovinazzi's teammate Carlos Sainz starting alongside him in P12. Those are the guys on row 6. Leclerc for Alfa Romeo will start from 13th position alongside Rosberg in the Audi car in 14th position. A decent day of qualifying for them. Same for Sergio Perez in the Force India, up to 15th, higher than we've seen him at other points in the season. He's alongside Schumacher in 16th position. Bottas in 17th is joined on that row by Romain Grosjean in the Haas in 18th position. Directly behind Bottas, in fact, will be his teammate Lance Stroll in 19th. He's joined on that row by Sirotkin, and bringing up the rear of the grid, we've got Ocon and Newgarden.
So that's how the starting grid shapes up. Thanks to Justin for taking us through. We go to 5 red lights for the second last round of this season, the Australian Grand Prix. 5 red lights are out, and we're underway. Bogging down a tan. Vettel gets a great start. Gasly's got a great start as well. Verstappen's bogged down. Look at that. Vettel on the left-hand side. He's shot up into 1st place of the Grand Prix. Contact made between the 2 Mercedes cars and the McLaren of Van Dorn. But look at the gap Vettel's got. It's like looking back at 2013. Vettel gaining 5 positions there into turn 1. We go side by side with his teammate Ricciardo in his home Grand Prix here, trying to do the best he can in the opening stages. We try and go round down the inside of him. Van Dorn's made the move on Gasly after initially getting bogged down between the 2 Mercedes cars, and so it's Vettel from Van Dorn, Gasly, Verstappen, then we've got ahead of Ricciardo there crucially, and then Wehrlein lost a lot of time there being sandwiched between his teammate and Van Dorn. But look at this, you can see Van Dorn's actually struggling and holding up Gasly and Verstappen behind him, so we're closing up, but Vettel nowhere to be seen as we go on to the next shot. Look at that ridiculous gap Vettel's got That's going to be the best start he's ever had in his career, I think, gaining 5 positions into turn 1 and then getting such a big demanding lead already, setting the fast lap of the Grand Prix, obviously leading the way. But we're going to try and make a move now on Verstappen, who's bogging down behind my teammate Gasly here, so thank you very much down the inside, and we're up into 4th place. And now this really puts the ball in Vettel's court. We have to try and catch him up now, because if he wins this Grand Prix and we're down here in 4th place at least, that means Vettel is going to have a very, very easy time in the finale, in the final round next race, so we have to get a move on. Vettel has effectively forced our hand to, do one of the best races we've had this season, and we have to try and catch him and try and fight him for the win if he stays in 1st place there. So we're now trying to fight to Gasly. We did make the move around the outside, but we do this switchback, a lovely little move down the inside of this long right-hander, and now we're up into what will be 3rd place into the podium positions, finding ourselves in P3 behind Van Dorn in P2, up ahead, but that was a very nice move on Gasly. Obviously, Gasly's still a contender in this championship, but he probably made it a little bit easy for me there, because it really is more kind of me and Vettel here. Gasly can mathematically still win this championship, but I think it's very much in doubt. But obviously DRS now enabled now as we go on to lap 3, so we can use this effectively on Van Dorn. We move later on towards the end of sector 1 of lap 3, and we're closing up on Van Dorn through that swooping right-hander. Close up even more through the braking zone and the exit of this next corner. And can we try and get a good enough momentum here? Can we go swinging around the right-hand side on the left? We go around the outside of Van Dorn. Very unorthodox place to make a move there, but we tried. Give him the room on the inside. We go side by side through the exit of the corner, and we just about squeeze out Van Dorn. Hopefully we've got the legs on him on that McLaren Honda engine. We just about do. Yes, we have. So up into P2 now, and all we have our sights on now is Sebastian Vettel, but a virtual safety car has been called out, so that's going to neutralize the race for a little bit. And actually I'm going to make this very late decision here to actually come into the pits. So you can see on the second last corner I say box this lap to my engineer, so a very late call there from me. But I think back to the Italian Grand Prix where my first race win, my only race win of this season, remembering that I gained so much time pitting on the virtual safety car. So I think back to that and straight away think I should do the same here, even though it's a very early pit stop. This is about 3-4 laps earlier than everyone else is probably going to make, but I have the feeling that this might work out quite well. We have to really, really go for it now on this stint, on this set of soft tyres. We have to make sure we use these fresh tyres to good use, and hopefully we don't get bogged down with too much traffic and slower cars, and we can just kind of nip through them like a hot knife through butter. But if we can make it work, it can be a lot like Italy, where we gain so much time, because obviously at the moment as the virtual safety car ends, that entire time everyone was going at this slower pace, and now it's green flag. It's now time to go to full racing speed. We make the move on Hulkenberg. We actually go deep though, a little bit too eager on the brakes actually, so we have to do some more overtaking there and try and defend from Hulkenberg on the inside, but we've got it eventually. I'm up to P16, but now it's time to get the head down, just charge forward and try and just basically tick off all these drivers ahead of us like a checklist of overtakes basically, and try and make the most of these soft tyres. And as we move on later into sector 3 of lap 4, you can see a gaggle of cars up ahead being bogged down by each other. We've got Magnussen going side by side with a Haas car, I think that is, and Perez tucked in behind, probably in some dirty air. We get some dirty air ourselves. We get a lot of understeer in that right-hander, immediately closing up to Perez though in this second last corner. But no, it wasn't a Haas, it was actually Bottas's Williams there. But Magnussen fighting him has kind of helped us there, because we get a great exit. Look at the downforce this Red Bull has compared to the Force India, able to make the move even before DRS gets activated on our car, and then we make the move on Magnussen pretty easily with DRS. Into turn 1 we go, and that's 2 moves in the span of 2 corners and a little straight, and so up into P14, and we'll immediately get back on the back of Valtteri Bottas now as we get into sector 1 of lap 5. Purple first sector there, good stuff, getting a good exit, kind of dancing the car around off the curbing there on the left hand side, and now we get a good momentum down the inside of Valtteri Bottas, and we make the move very easily actually, and just really flexing the muscles of this car. And at the moment me and this Red Bull are 1-to-1. I'm feeling the car is feeling very, very hooked up, and I've just got one goal: just keep on going as fast as I can, overtake every car I see, and try to get this undercut to work. So now we make the move on, I think this is Newgarden, down the inside of turn 1 we go. A very easy move on the American there, and we're up a further position. You can see up ahead we've got, I think that's Carlos Sainz in the Toro Rosso, and the likes of the Alfa Romeo, and then Giovinazzi as well. But you saw Gasly actually set the fast lap of the Grand Prix previously just there before. So showing that the Red Bull car has some pretty decent pace here in Australia, and that's always been the case in my driver. I've always been pretty decent in Australia, actually. You know, remember back to Season 3 and Season 2, both times we made a very aggressive strategy work out. So again, we're trying to do the same, essentially, trying to go very, very aggressive. And now we get on the back of Carlos Sainz and the sister team here down the inside of lap 6 in the high-speed chicane. Side by side with Sainz, will go around the outside. A little bit of kicked up grass there. We have to give Sainz the room, because Sainz actually kept it down the inside the entire time in that chicane. So I had to really go quite left and wide there, but we just about made it. It's very, very tricky to get two cars through that high-speed chicane, but we made it work. We made it work. Me and Sainz, I feel we have good respect for each other, so we made it work. Maybe with me and Gasly, probably not possible there, to be honest, but now we move on to the end of lap 7, on towards lap 8. You can see I'm getting very, very eager, actually, as we get a bit of a snap of oversteer, getting a bit eager on the throttle, but you can see now up ahead, we've got the Mercedes car getting bogged down, but crucially on the top left, hopefully you guys saw that. That was Sebastian Vettel making his pit stop, and now he's behind us, so we have made the undercut work. We've made that work, because Vettel, remember, had that huge gap, and I don't think he lost that huge gap in the time that's got to now on lap 8. So we've effectively erased that gap Vettel had and overtaken him, and now created our own gap against Vettel. So we are effectively, I think, in a net first position, which is absolutely amazing, and just shows that strategy call to go into the pits under the virtual safety car has worked out an absolute treat. But now we move on later into the lap, chasing down Wehrlein, who I mentioned was getting bogged down by this Alfa Romeo car of, I think it's Schumacher, I want to say, but we'll see. But we make the move down the inside to Leclerc, but we go down the inside of Wehrlein. Very, very aggressive move there, caught Wehrlein napping. He's on the super soft tyres though, so he's probably been on that set since the beginning of the Grand Prix. Obviously done one qualifying lap, so those tyres are probably very worn. So I wouldn't be surprised if Wehrlein now peels into the pits. Yes, he does, right on cue there. So pretty much the perfect time to overtake Wehrlein. You can see getting a more oversteer on the last corner, because I'm just so eager to get the car forward and get this move done. And we got DRS wide open down the inside of Leclerc, down the inside of turn 1 on lap 9, and we're up into 3rd place now. And we'll try and chase down Schumacher, who's on medium tyres. So that probably means Schumacher's going a little bit longer this Grand Prix, probably 5 laps more, because I think the mediums can go 15 laps pretty easily. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Schumacher for company quite a bit in the future stages of this Grand Prix. But we move up into 2nd place now, as we've got another person in the pit. So now we're in an Alfa Romeo sandwich here. So the two Alfa Romeos obviously out of sync with everyone else, but doing pretty well at the moment. Schumacher leading the way, Leclerc in 3rd on soft tyres. We can see I'm just changing my strategy to soft tyres, because I think if I can stretch this set a little bit longer, I could probably go on another set of soft tyres till the end of this Grand Prix and convert what might have looked like a 3-stop to a 2-stop here in this race. But we move on now later into the same lap 10. You can see visually now Schumacher a lot closer. We can actually see him up the road, whereas we couldn't at the beginning of the lap, just showing how slow Schumacher is going on this set of medium tyres. Obviously 10-lap old mediums compared to 6-lap old softs, really no match. The virtual safety car though is called out again, so 2 virtual safety cars in this Australian Grand Prix. So everything gets neutralised, obviously everything slows down, so it's time to relax a little bit. Lean mix there you can see on the bottom right, but then obviously green flag eventually comes later into that lap on towards the end of sector 3, returning to racing speed. And we've closed up even more now to Schumacher on the green flag, obviously, as we can get going a little bit earlier compared to Schumacher, looks like. But he's really going slow. Look, we're gaining just time just through that right-hander. He's really struggling on this set of medium tyres. And is he going to come to the pits? No, he doesn't. He actually continues on here. So we're definitely going to probably be able to overtake him before he even comes to the pits, I think. We've got DRS. You can see everything's getting a little bit gloomy here. And I think my engineer did say there was a slight chance of rain in this Grand Prix, so we'll keep an eye on that. But it's definitely got a little bit overcast conditions at the moment in the Australian Grand Prix. Where now we move on to the end of lap 12, on towards lap, this will be sector 3, and we're right up the gearbox of Schumacher. He's going so slow in the mid-corner apex speed, and we go down the inside, and Schumacher just doesn't have anything to answer for that there, just showing how worn those mediums are getting on lap 12. But yeah, as we come through the final corner, we'll get DRS as well, so that actually helped us out a little bit. But now we've got Sainz in P3, so Sainz overtaking Leclerc there, looks like. And Vettel, I'm going to guess, is somewhere in the order there. Oh, look, speaking of Vettel, just literally as on cue, he's up into P3 now. So it's only Schumacher that lies between me and Vettel. And I would like to say, hopefully, Schumacher can help me out here. because Vettel's going to be charging on a set of super softs, but obviously Schumacher being in the sister kind of junior Ferrari team and also being a fellow German, I don't think that's going to happen. Also, probably Schumacher might do what his father did back in 2012, if you remember, waving his fellow German through on towards his third World Championship. So could his son Mick Schumacher do the same thing and be waving Vettel to attack me to try and challenge for what will be his 5th World Championship now in what will be the 2018 season. But we move on to a replay now, briefly, just to show you what Pierre Gasly's been getting up to, because he's actually nowhere near us in the race order, and actually he's had a really poor race, and it didn't get any better because he actually got a puncture, and this was actually why that second virtual safety car was called out. So it's gone from bad to worse for Pierre Gasly because he wasn't doing particularly well anyway, and now he's got a puncture in this Grand Prix, so it's unlikely he'll actually even be scoring points at this rate. Potentially could get some, last scraps like 1 or 2 points, but I think this pretty much confirms Gasly out of this World Championship as he gets passed by all those gaggle of cars, the 2 Audi cars, the Mercedes car, the Toro Rosso. So yeah, it's been a dismal end to this season for Gasly. It was so promising in the beginning with his 2 race victories, but now he's nowhere near the championship. But we move on now to lap 15. You can see now very worn tyres, and we've got one Sebastian Vettel right behind us, pressurizing us. But you can see that front left very, very worn, and it's time to come in for our set of tyres. So we call in for boxing this lap to our engineer. We're trying to hold up Vettel. He's on super softs, Vettel, so he definitely has to make another pit stop with us, and he'll probably be going onto the medium tyres, I'm guessing, because he'll be doing a super soft, and then medium tyre stint. It would be quite odd for him to go on the soft tyres potentially unless he's doing a 3-stop. But we're actually going to go a little bit bold because we're going to try and go on the set of soft tyres to the end of the Grand Prix, because we've taken this set of soft tyres since lap 3 actually, lap 3. So quite a lot of laps there. Obviously, yes, a little bit of help from one virtual safety car, but I think we could do it. So we're going to risk it a little bit, go opt for the softer compound of tyre, compared to probably what Vettel will go on. We'll see, actually. He might go on the soft tyres. You never know. He might surprise me, but it's going to be a pit stop battle here. So here's hoping, fingers crossed. Come on, guys. Red Bull guys. They don't make a mistake. Yes, they do not. Thank you very much. So we keep ahead of Sebastian Vettel there. And so this will be effective 1-2 still in the Grand Prix. But obviously a few people yet to make their pit stops, I think. So we'll be coming out a little bit down the order. But you can see behind us, that's a McLaren car coming out ahead of Vettel, actually. So that's great for us, the McLaren car and the Alfa Romeo. I think that's Schumacher, who pit a little bit earlier compared to us, has come out ahead of Vettel, so that's great. We've got 2 cars in between me and Vettel, and actually Schumacher tries to make the move down the inside of me. Not only Hamilton, he tried to make the move down the inside of me, but Schumacher's made it work on Hamilton. So now we've got a nice little 2-car gap between me and Sebastian Vettel, and actually you can see there in the distance, we've got Ricciardo right up Vettel's gearbox, so I'm hoping maybe Ricciardo can challenge Vettel a little bit, but yeah, nice to have this gap. But actually, you're about to see here something a little bit strange, and I'll admit it will look a bit odd, but I actually let Schumacher through here because I don't care about Schumacher, I only care about Vettel. And to get away from Vettel, I think I can use Schumacher as a bit of a tow device, basically. I think I've done this a few times earlier in the season before, but basically because of the lack of power from the Tag Heuer branded Renault engine in the back of this Red Bull car, I'm going to use Schumacher here, use his slipstream, use the DRS to kind of pull me along basically and get away from Vettel. I don't care about Hamilton, don't care about Schumacher, I'm only thinking about Vettel. As long as I finish ahead of Vettel, that is good enough for me for this Grand Prix. Obviously it'd be nice to try and get a nice position, but as long as we're ahead of Vettel, that's all I really care about. And so that is my tactic there. So we'll update you on that, but we're going to briefly take a look at this. Now this was a little bit earlier on in the Grand Prix, but this was Charles Leclerc, who was at the time leading the Grand Prix before we made the pit stop phases. And this is Leclerc's engine blowing up, unfortunately for him. So it's been a great race so far for both the Alfa Romeo cars, but unfortunately only Mick Schumacher is going to finish and see the end of this Grand Prix, it looks like, as Leclerc pulls off on the left-hand side there and retires from this Grand Prix. So unfortunate for him. But anyway, we move on to lap 21 now. 8 laps to go in this Grand Prix. And you can see we've still got the DRS on Schumacher now. And he actually pulled away from us a little bit, Schumacher, because of the speed he's got in a straight line. But now we're starting to reel him back in, starting to use these soft tyres to good effect. And now we're trying to pull him in slowly to re-overtake him now, because Vettel is now in 3rd place behind us on medium tyres. Got a few seconds to us, but now he can get the hammer down in clean air to try and catch us. And as we've only got 7 laps left in this Grand Prix now, as we move on to lap 22, it's definitely time now to try and overtake Schumacher, and hopefully it will be a nice easy move and he won't put up too much of a fight. But you can see we get close, and actually don't even have to do it. Schumacher nicely, thank you very much, comes to the pits, that's fine. So now it's a straight fight. It's me versus Sebastian Vettel. We're 1-2 at the moment. We're 1-2 in the championship, you know, the other way around really. Vettel leading the way at the moment, championship technically, and me in second place in the championship. But now in this race, I'm first, Vettel second. It's just me and him. It's a straight fight for the lead of the championship going into the final round of the season. So it's all to play for. 7 laps left, overcast conditions at the moment. Perhaps maybe some rain on the way. I'm not too sure about that. But let's see if I can take these soft tyres right to the end. Vettel on harder but more durable medium tyres. Let's see. We move later on into the Grand Prix, lap 26, and only now is Vettel behind us. So it's taken him a few laps to actually catch up to me. And slowly, as I predicted, my tyres start to wear out a little bit, but we've still got some pace in the tank. I've not fully pushed my fuel, so I've got a bit of rich mix to play with here. But on lap 26, Vettel right up our gearbox now, trying to pressurize us through this corner. I've been really poor through this corner the entire race long. Everywhere else I'm getting time, but this corner especially I'm just struggling with traction. And Vettel gets a great run. He's going to try it around the outside. Will he actually go the full hog down the inside? Down the inside we go, side by side through the high speed chicane. Vettel pushes us wide a little bit, keeps it in. He doesn't dare lift off, as well as me, and we go side by side through that section. Beautiful stuff between the two championship rivals here. You don't see this very often in real life Formula 1. Two titans of the championship gunning it out for real on the track side by side, and Vettel just about gets a measure of us, but we do it down the inside of the second last corner. We catch him napping a little bit, give him the room, and we go round the outside of the final corner. Remember, actually, we entered that section behind Vettel, so we actually get DRS because of Vettel being ahead of us. So we actually are able to pull away from Vettel there. So Vettel actually didn't play it very smart. If he was playing it smart, he would have just kept me ahead and actually would have got me easily on the pit straight. But now we move on into the second last lap of the Grand Prix. We've got away from Vettel for 1 lap there on lap 27, but on lap 28 Vettel is back in the same place. He tried to make the move last time, and he'll go on the right hand side yet again to try and make a similar move. This time round, second time round, can we keep it side by side yet again? We'll try it down the inside, but this time Vettel's got a lot more of a gap there in front of me, so I have to tuck in behind. A little bit of contact made on his rear left tyre there with my front wing, so the FIA says a little bit of a collision with Vettel. That's fine, a little bit of a warning, but we can stick behind Vettel. Actually, this is a better place to be because we'll get DRS on towards the pit straight, so we'll just try and keep as close as we can to Vettel here. Through the second last corner, we gain so much time in the braking zone. Look how close our nose got to his rear end there. So through the final corner, just concentrate on getting the best exit we can. Open the DRS flat, get the speed, slipstream on Vettel. Here we go, move to the right hand side of the circuit. We'll make the move down the inside of turn 1 on towards the last lap of the Grand Prix, remember, and we're up into P1 yet again. Vettel tucks in behind P2, a little bit of oversteer. So now as we go into the heart of Sector 1, we're actually playing around with the fuel a little bit. You can see on the bottom right, I've just set that to lean mix to try and get a bit of fuel in reserve for the end of this lap, because I think Vettel will definitely come back at me, so we need a bit of rich mix to maybe play with. But Vettel's keeping it quite close in Sector 1 here, and I think because of the lean mix, I haven't got the best entry and exit to that corner, and the best runoff and the best traction. And Vettel actually makes a move down the inside. Tyres have been tapped, and Vettel keeps it down the inside. What a move there from Sebastian Vettel. How on earth has he kept it in play there with the downforce of that Ferrari versus the Red Bull car? But now we can use some rich mix. We saved the fuel there with the lean mix, so we'll put it up into rich and try and make the move on the Ferrari. We've only got two corners left, so it's now or never now on Sebastian Vettel. Here we go down the inside, locking up. Vettel locks up. We give him the room. He's given us the room. No contacts made round the outside of the final corner of the final lap, and we'll get up into P1, and that will be the win of the Australian Grand Prix. We've crossed the line to celebrate, and that is going to be the leads of the World Championship going into the final round of this season. What a final lap that has been for us, and very, very tactical. Saved the fuel. Yes, we got overtaken, but I knew we would have the pace there, and I had faith that I'd be able to make the move like that. Use the rich mix to good effect, and that was a last gas move, but it needs to be made. It needs to be made, and Vettel, fair play to him, gave me the respect, gave me the room. I gave him the room equally as well. Made sure to make no contact there, and we've made that last-ditch move for first place. Carlos Sainz gets a brilliant podium there to join us on the podium for the Australian Grand Prix. Mick Schumacher, a brilliant 4th place. As I mentioned, Gasly out of the points, completely out of this championship now, you've got to say, going to the finale. I don't even know what the points are exactly, but I think he can't even mathematically win it now, Pierre Gasly. So it is now going into the final race of the season, the Japanese Grand Prix. Next episode, guys, it is me versus Sebastian Vettel. You can see I've got 5 points ahead going into the last round. 170 to his 165. Gasly 138 out of this championship. He's even falling into the clutches of Daniel Ricciardo in P4. Giovinazzi in a strong P5. But yep, it's me versus the German. I mean, I've battled a Ferrari before. Remember in Season 1 of MyDriver, it was me versus Kimi Raikkonen when he was still in the sport in a Ferrari car. But now I'm finally battling Vettel. I've battled Vettel many times in other series, but it's never really been for the championship in MyDriver. But now, Season 4, it's me versus Vettel for the championship in the last episode next week on Friday. But moving on to the Constructors, moving on from Red Bull and Ferrari, a surprising development is Toro Rosso equaling points with McLaren. A great race, obviously, for Sainz getting a podium there, and just showing how poor of a season McLaren have had. Such inconsistencies, even though over the course of it, McLaren have technically had the best car, faster car out of them and Toro Rosso, but Toro Rosso have just done the job. Got a little bit lucky, yes, with 2 wins from their 2 drivers, and obviously I got a 3rd win for them, but Toro Rosso, 3rd in Constructors at the moment. Absolutely crazy, but yeah, what a second last episode, and what a final lap that was. That was crucial. I was driving with a purpose, I needed to get that move done, and especially all those overtakes in the middle part of the race, that needed to happen. As I said, like a checklist, just ticking them off, bang, 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 overtake after overtake. Needed to make it happen, and I've done it today. Very, very happy with my performance. And going to the last race, it's in my court now. The ball's in my court, but the Japanese Grand Prix not being a great Grand Prix for me in terms of pace on this game, so we'll see how it goes there, to be honest. But if you guys have enjoyed this second last episode, smash the like button. Let's try and get over 2,000 likes on this episode, guys, for only one more race left to go in this series. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. New round in, and do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content, guys. As always, thank you so much for the love on this series, and we've got one race to go in this championship, the Japanese Grand Prix. I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye.